Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kopp, let me echo the sentiments of almost everyone here. Not easy to be plopped in middle of Washington, D.C. in a big hearing room and tell your story, but I bet you it wasn't easy to step up and do the right thing. And so want to tell you how much we appreciate that, want to appreciate the professionalism of the investigation and the professionalism of the response from the United States Postal Service. This is a can-do story, and hopefully this hearing will provide and illuminate this kind of issue going forward for other agencies. And so appreciate the way the chairman has handled it and the way the ranking member has handled it. But I want to build on Senator McCaskill's line of reasoning. I continue to be deeply concerned about the lack of systemic reform within the Postal Service. I think it has had a very negative effect on service. And ultimately, we sit here as a board of directors almost, but yet you aren't getting the direction and you're not getting the reforms that you need to continue to make the post office viable into the future. And so as somebody who represents a rural community that is deeply dependent, as you see in GAO reports, on mail service delivery, we continue to be concerned. So I want to raise another issue, which I think actually adds to the concern that I have about oversight and the ability to do hearings like this, and that's that we don't have a board of governors, right?
That's correct.
This should concern all of us. And since there's no confirmed governors, none at this time, they couldn't be part of this investigation. So how, for you probably, Megan, how might a fully functioning, or at least partially functioning, Board of Governors have been helpful through this process from an accountability perspective?
Well, thank you, Senator Heitkamp. Clearly, we're best served having a fully constituted board comprised of individuals with different perspectives, different backgrounds to provide oversight, strategic direction. It would be helpful to have a sounding board. And I would respectfully ask, in addition to postal reform, that as the administration nominates postal governors, that we move with pace to confirm them. That would go a long way in positioning the organization.
Where are we? Have you heard anything from the White House in terms of nominees?
Yes, the information we have is that there are a number of individuals that are currently being vetted, and that the process is moving forward. So we're optimistic that potentially as early as the fall, we may have, God bless you, a number of seated governors.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that we have failed in our oversight responsibility and our management responsibility of the post office. I want to make the point that there's 650,000 federal employees who we have trust and faith in, especially people in rural areas who build relationships with the people they serve. When several employees, including supervisors and area operation managers, realized that allowing this number of letter carriers to take leave would have a sizable impact, obviously, on the day-to-day operations. And, we can all see how this could get completely out of hand if we weren't taking a look at it. And so I want to applaud you, Megan, for all the work that you're attempting to do. When you look at your testimony, you note the importance of ensuring that postal employees are further educated about the Hatch Act, and as a way to prevent future violations. How do you plan on communicating that as a preventive method? And when you look at materials, and we've found this, the post office has led the way on some of the follow-up to the IG reports. I think you could also be an example of what other agencies could do. So tell us about that heightened education that you plan on undertaking.
Yes, Senator Heitkamp, a number of different mediums that we use. We utilize oral, written, digital communications to employees in the workplace, to their home, We utilize scrolls on our advanced computing systems to educate them. We use what we call smart business moments, which is really just common sense to protect employees and ensure that we abide by all postal policies and procedures. So there will be a number of venues we'll do. I'll do videos. We'll do stand-up talks in the workplace environment. And I think we were effective in expanding that information prior to the 2016 election. We need to do that and ensure that cascades down throughout the workforce.
I think, I get what you're saying about the methods. What about the message is what I'm saying.
Oh, the message.
Yeah.
I apologize. Well,
No, that's okay.
the message, and it was interesting because Mr. Cope mentioned that right at the outset. As postal employees, we pride ourselves on being the most trusted government agency. And we're nonpartisan, we're independent, we're apolitical. We need to maintain that trust that the American public has in us. That's a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm. And just, maybe I'm just not making myself all that clear, because a lot of times when you have a lot of this message, it's like, yeah. Here we go again. It doesn't sink in. And obviously, as I understand this situation, this isn't a new problem. This has been going on. This has been something that's happened year to year. And just been accepted until Mr. Kopp came forward and raised the awareness, which led to all this investigation and all this follow-through. So what part of the messaging are you delivering? What kind of message are you delivering to say there's been a change? That attitude that we've had in the past is not what we're doing now.
Well, we'll certainly communicate that long-standing practice of expanding the definition of union business to include union political activity can't continue, will not continue, that we will abide by the OSC's recommendations and directions. And we need to be clear that, again, it goes back to the trust that the American people have in the Postal Service. While we're a microcosm of society with 640,000 employees, we're a trusted federal agency. Mm-hmm. And so I will emphasize the importance of this, that this was a Hatch Act violation, and frankly, to be labeled as an institutional bias and a systemic violation, to me is pretty damning. And so I will ensure that is communicated and that is heard throughout this organization.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, we need to get postal reform done, because these things, they all land in your lap and you're there alone. And this needs to be fixed, and we need to have better opportunities for oversight and accountability on service standards on a whole host of issues. And I want to thank you and your staff. You've been extraordinarily gracious to my staff and to me personally in responding to our concerns. But we've got to get this done. It's a bit of business that should be easy, but it's not. And so thank you, and thank all of you, especially you, Mr. Kopp, for your courage and for your commitment to the institution that you work for, which is really, by extension, the taxpayers of this country. Thank you.